Hey guys, what's going on? Gandhi here, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about two-handed arms Slam Warrior in TBC Anniversary. And as you saw by the title, we are going to be focusing on how to take your parses from low mid-90s into the 99 bracket range. Now, starting out, you'll see on the bottom different bullet points, just so you can go to whatever part of the video you find that you are needed help on the most. I will try my best to hit all of it. Those are linked on the screen now. Now, to quickly talk about my experience in TBC Anniversary and some of my credentials, I am currently ranked number 1 in the world, Alliance side Arms Warrior by a good margin. I am currently ranked number 2 on both factions. I've played Arms Warrior for about 6 years. I raid on Arms Warrior twice a week. I absolutely love the spec. I've played a bunch of raids as Arms Warrior. I live and breathe Arms Warrior, so I'd love to kind of share some of my knowledge that I have gained throughout the many years of playing the spec, as I found that there are literally 0 resources online for two-handed Slam Warrior, and I want to give you guys this resource. Now, getting right into it, let's look at our talent tree. Pretty standard. There's not a lot of, if you feel this way, certain way, there's not a lot of different specs you can run as a two-handed Slam Warrior. We take 3 Oak Strike, 3 into parry. You can take 2 into parry and 1 into overpower. But in my 4 weeks of raiding SSCTK and 15 weeks raiding Girl Mags, I think I've overpowered maybe once. So I kind of like this little 1% extra bit of parry. 5 into Iron Will. You don't take charge. You don't take T-Clap. I'll get into this in a minute. 1 into Anger Management. 3 Deep Wounds. Of course, Impale. 5 into Two-Handed. Death Wish. 5 into Sword Proc. This is the bread and butter of this spec. 2 into Improved Disciples, increase Recklessness, and reduce CD. This is a lot of fun, especially if your guild is a little bit slower clearing SSCTK. You can find that you wreck 2 to 3, 4 more times more often than your Fury Warrior. We take Mortal Strike and, of course, Blood Frenzy. Fury Tree, 5 into Cruelty, 5 into Booming Voice. This is for your Wrath and Solarian Sapphire Shouts. Unbridled Wrath is useless. Instead of Booming Voice, you can choose to do Improved Demo. However, have one of your Free Warriors do it. Shout out to Trench and Syax. Free Warriors in my guilds. Love you guys. 5 into Commanding Presence, 5 into Enrage, 2 into Slam, Sweeping Strikes, 2 into Weapon Mastery, and then 3 into Flurry. Now, quickly going over our gear. As a 2 into Slam Warrior, you rely less on crit than Fury Warrior does, meaning our priority for gems goes as follows. Standard meta, red gem, everything. If you don't have a red gem, you need your 2 for your meta. You're going to go to Sovereign or Epic or Heroic gem equivalent. Quickly looking at the gear setup I currently have, been super blessed with drops. Just for G5 Helm, technically our best in slot, standard gems and enchants. So you have a blue gem slotted in there. It's the Heroic Shattered Halls gem. Adamantite Chain, have yet to see a Trash Neck drop. That is your best in slot. Warbringer Shoulder Plates, that is 3rd to 4th best in slot. Double Strength Gem. Vengeance Wrap, which is our phase best with the PvP gem. Bloodsea Brigand's Vest. 2nd best behind Bulwark, but I've yet to see a Twin Blade. So that is currently my best in slot. Of course, you see the PvP gems there, and then the blue gem for the set bonus. High King Mulgar Bracers, arguably BIS. If you run High King Bladespire Warbands, that means you have to run Ranger General with a 2nd hit ring, and you have to drop Shapeshifters, meaning you need Hydra Shoulders, Searing Grip, and Vash Belt. So you can drop this for a hit ring. However, I will be going the route of keeping my Shapeshifters or Ancestor's Ring of Conquest and picking up Bladespire. Picking up the Lurker Bracers. Sorry. Weapon, currently Lightning Executioner. Range, Barrel Blade Long Rifle with double strength gems. This easily can be swapped out with Mama's Insurance. It is probably a 3 to 5 DPS difference, not super big. Gauntlet's Martial Perfection. These are 2nd bis behind the Searing Grip. I would definitely work on getting Prio for Searing Grip gloves. Super hyped. Belt of 100 Deaths. Degrees of Blood Order. These are technically bis. Second bis to bis, you'll take these over the legs off of KT. Murderous Intent will definitely go to your hunters first. You scoop these up. Absolute insane amount of AP you can put in these things. Obliteration War Boots, bis, and I've already talked about the rings, and of course, badge and DST. Now, DST is a very, very hot topic when it comes to Arms Warrior. And let me make this clear. Out of every DPS in your guild or in your raid, you should get this trinket last. That being said, I ran my own Grow Pugs and got it for myself because I found it very, very great for Arms Warrior. Don't let anyone say it's bad for Arms Warrior. It is very, very good, but it can be kind of niche in certain situations. You might find yourself taking it off in a couple situations, which I will talk about later in this video, but it is a very, very, very good trinket for Arms Warrior. And again, do not let anyone tell you it is bad. However, unbiased opinion, out of every DPS class in the game, minus probably Enchants, you are the worst person to give a DST to on single target fights. Cleave situations, it is different. You could be one of not the top 2 to 3 classes behind Rogue and Free Warrior to get a DST because how well haste stacks in a cleave situation for a two-handed slam warrior. Now, I have heard a lot of people talking about this kebab spec, and to quickly shut this up, kebab spec was originally introduced in 2021 as a copium Fury Warrior build that applied Blood Frenzy. Under no circumstance was this build ever even supposed to be good, to be topping the charts to any of the matter, and people have kind of fallen under this misguidance or false internet information that kebab was A, good, or B, viable. And let me say this. Kebab is good for casual players. Kebab is good for dad raids, where you don't want to worry about rotation. You don't want to worry about min-maxing, pushing your class. It's very, very simple. The playstyle is the exact same as Free Warrior, but it is marginally less, performs less than a two-handed slam warrior. So this class is very, very, very difficult. The skill ceiling is very high. The point of this video is to kind of push warriors to kind of get out of your comfort zone, try a class, try a spec that maybe you're not comfortable with because it performs way better than kebab. To get into actually how can we do that, let's go into the rotations. And as a two-handed slam warrior, you have 4 different rotations. This is where the good warriors separate the great warriors by the best warriors. This is where all of the separation begins. Because you have a standard rotation, which is your start the boss fight, led by a sunder. That is 2 sunders into a slam, ideally. If your rogue is pre-IEing the boss, meaning he is already IEing first global, you could Mortal Strike or Whirlwind first global into a slam. Very standard, very simple. Every warrior should do this. It's important to note that you want to have your slams within a 0.10 second window. Now, this is the goal. When you are not bloodlusted, no cooldowns popped, you want 0.10 slam reduction. This takes away however many seconds you delay by away from your auto, meaning you're getting that many more auto attacks, which can be the difference between 1 or 2 more autos, which could be 1 or 2 more sword or wind fury procs. And it can be the difference between 1 to 4% damage increase by just your slam delay. Now, do not get intimidated because there is some leeway to this. And when I get into the second rotation, which is our Bloodlust Recklessness and Cooldown Rotation, we can find that we slam delay into the 0.3, 0.4, which is still very, very okay. It is very good to slam at 0.3 rather than not slam at all. Now, going into our second rotation, we have our cooldowns. And I'm just going to go over the correct order of popping these. So I'm going to pull up a video and kind of dissect how we are going through these cooldowns, pressing them correctly, and I'll also talk about why DST is great and why it can also be kind of bad in certain situations. As looking at this Void River kill from this week, going and intercepting into our 2 Sunders. We're going to slam after this auto. Number 1 prio is slam, weaving in Mortal Strike Whirlwinds in between these slams. You see Bloodlust come up here. We're going to weave in Death Wish instead of Mortal Strike on the next one. There's the Death Wish. Everything's still on cooldown. We're going to go Recklessness into Slam. Now we're just normal weaving, right? We have our Haste Potion up, Bloodlust. No DST on this warrior, right? So it's just easy weaves. So yeah, you see right there, I pushed the auto to 0.3 seconds to get that slam in. All we're doing is forcing the Mortal Strike and Whirlwinds over and just delaying the slam just by a little bit. But as you see, Haste Spot falls off. Now we're back to our bread and butter standard Mortal Strike, Slam, Whirlwind, Slam rotation. All right, taking a look at this cruel kill from phase 1. This is going to be kind of dissecting what could have been way better from my end on this kill. Ended up being top 5. It could have definitely been top rank 1 or 2 if done correctly. So you see after this ground slam, we're going to pop Bloodlust. I Death Wish really early, get the opportunity, and I wreck way too soon. To go ahead and pause that right here. We see Wreck, Haste Pot is up with Badge and Death Wish, but I have 0 badge stacks, DST is procced, and Haste Pot is procced. This means that I am now at a DPS loss because I cannot slam, or I cannot weave my slams in with a Mortal Strike or Whirlwind. So as you see here, my cast roar is going halfway through before my slam beam goes off. So we're losing a ton of DPS from this, not even factoring in our badge did not get full value from this. So my timing was way off in this kill. As you see, I just have to adapt and push my Mortal Strikes and my Whirlwinds farther, or push them together, and then just prioritize auto slam, auto slam, auto slam without weaving. And of course, our standard execute rotation is going to be slam, Mortal Strike, Whirlwind still take prio, and then when those 2 are down, you will slam, weave in, execute instead of the other 2. But of course, if you have the rage, it is always better to use Mortal Strike or Whirlwind because they scale off of weapon damage. So all it really takes is just watching your DST procs. And if it's a short fight and you don't feel like doing that, or whatever it may be, that is where you can take off DST. If you don't want to risk the RNG of it, whatever. But I will pull up a Void River kill where I do get a very late DST proc after my Haste Pod, and it was absolutely absurd, the numbers we put up. So, your cooldown rotation for a Twin Ascent Warrior is this. You start the boss, Sunder, Sunder, or Demo, Sunder, Demo, Mortal Strike, whatever it may be, into the first slam. At this point, your villager will probably call Bloodlust, depending on if you guys tend to Hunters and Rogues versus your Warriors. Most will do your Hunters and Rogues. Assuming Bloodlust pops, I like to do nothing. No Whirlwind, no Mortal Strike, no Wreck, no Death Wish, anything yet, to get the first guaranteed slam following that auto. Because Lust tends to F up your swing timer. Once I get that slam, now it's Death Wish time. Now you have to look, hey, is DST procced? Because if so, now we can't slam. Now it's time to Whirlwind or Mortal Strike to stack up badge stacks. You don't want to wreck with 0 badge stacks. So now we are Whirlwinding or Mortal Striking. Wait till your auto goes all the way through. On the following, into a slam, into a Whirlwind or Mortal Strike, whatever you did not press, into another slam. If you can't slam because DST procs, now it's a time for wreck towards the end of your swing timer. Following the wreck, you will then Whirlwind or Mortal Strike, and then wait for your auto, slam, slam, no weaving, until DST is over. You will then Haste Pot and begin as if you're going through your standard rotation. Mortal Strike, slam, Whirlwind, slam, Mortal Strike, slam, etc. When those are on cooldown, you can hamstring. That is the bread and butter Bloodlust rotation. You will peak at about 3.3k, 3.5k if you're doing it perfectly. If you're doing it great, you'll see 2.5 to 2.9k. Now, one thing I want to go over as well is you don't need gear 299 parse as a ARMS warrior. This is what's so great about the class and the spec is you don't need much of anything, really. You don't need Lionheart Blade. I have a warrior here that runs Glad Two-Handed Sword because he's a PvP warrior. He has Deep Thunder. And he has multiple 99 parses in a raid with kill times that are twice as long as my main warriors. You see here he runs NG Goggles, Mithril Chain, War Dancer, Vengeance Rep, Rage Shield Breastplate. There's this Eradication I was talking about earlier. Wrathy Warlord, Shapeshifters, Fell Leather Boots, Destroyer Greaves, Endless Pit, Marshall. So the gear is still very good, but it is not to the level of my main warrior, and it still does very, very good damage. Now, let's talk about some things that you should never do as an ARMS warrior that I find people doing that ask me for questions or whatever it may be. If your villager is asking you to rend the boss, tell him no. You're a warrior in TBC Classic. Unbuffed, you have a 31% chance to crit. With a shaman, with a feral, you have a 48% chance, fully raid buffed. Almost 50% chance to crit as a warrior in TBC Classic. You don't need to rend because you have this cool ability called Deep Wounds. Once you crit, it has a bleed, and that carries your Blood Frenzy debuffs. So you should never rend. You should never Thunderclap. Either one of these by themselves is a 200 DPS loss on a boss fight. 200 each. So if you Thunderclap, minus 200 DPS. If you rend, minus 200 DPS. You don't do either. And if your leader wants them both, tell him to run a Prot Warrior. And they can Thunderclap on cooldown if you'd like. But the point of this video is to teach you guys how to 95 to 99 parse, ideally push pinks. And to do so, the biggest tip I have for you guys is to make the most out of unfortunate situations. A lot of you guys watch this video are not going to be in a elite hardcore guild where everyone's playing their class perfectly, right? You'll have tanks that might squiggle the mobs. You might have people that have wrong positioning on Hydrus that might tomb you. You might miss a slam. I've raided raids where I've had bosses where I miss 1 or 2 slams, which I have weeks of raiding where I don't miss any, but I might have a boss fight where I miss 2 due to your weapon swing timer messing up, or sword proc happens in the middle of your auto and you're just confused as to why it happened. These things can happen. What I want to give advice to is make the most out of it, right? Your number one ability in the name of the spec is to slam. But if you can't, I want you to Mortal Strike. I want you to Whirlwind. I want you to get the most out of it if you can't slam. Don't just like scoot your chair back and be like, oh my gosh, what do I do in this situation? Make the most out of it. Don't ever give up on a boss fight, because this spec is so RNG heavy. Like, you can have a fight where you don't pop Recklessness, and you have 18 sword procs, 7 Wind Fury procs, and you're gapping your Fury Warriors by 400 DPS for no reason. This is what makes this spec so amazing. And I want to share that with you guys, because you can be in a terrible raid environment and still be number 1 overall as a support class, as people like to say. I really just wanted to challenge you guys watching this video that you can perform very, very well. You can be number 1, top 5, top 10 in your raid as a support class, as an ARMS warrior, because this spec is so dynamic. The skill ceiling is so high, and it's so interactive. It is absolutely an amazing design by Blizzard. Now, if you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to drop a comment, message me in-game. I love answering questions. I have played way too much ARMS Warrior in my time playing this game. I know just about anything there is about the spec. I've made a million mistakes. I've learned a ton from playing this game. If you have any questions at all, whether it be gearing, whether it be rotations, whether it be specific boss fights, I would love to answer them. I'm currently working on 2 other video projects, one as a more beginner guide focus, and then I also want to do a boss by boss parse guide. Those are some things in the works. But if you guys don't mind, just drop a like, uh, hit that subscribe button, and then drop a comment, and share some love. Other than that, boys, Gandhi out, GG's, and then good luck this week on the pumps and on the loots.